do the sex.
Today's Masturbation Monday topic is the 5 top fetishes. Now, last week we went over the 5 top kinks, and if you haven't checked that out now, I'm going to link it below in the note sections of this episode. So before we dive into the 5 top fetishes, I think it's really important that we distinguish what sets fetishes apart from kinks, and then also where they intersect. A fetish is defined as a strong fixation on an object, a body part, or an act that becomes central to an individual's arousal. For many, a fetish will play a critical role in their ability to achieve arousal or even sexual satisfaction. A kink, however, encompasses a broader range of sexual acts or interests, behaviors that one may enjoy, but does not necessarily require for arousal. In simpler terms, a fetish may go beyond enjoyment and become essential to sexual gratification, whereas a kink is more about enjoyment, fun, and some experimentation. So let's talk about the overlap between fetish and kink and where they meet. Many kinks can evolve into fetishes when they take on an essential role in someone's arousal. All fetishes are kinks, but not all kinks become fetishes. For example, role play can be a kink that people really enjoy dabbling in every once in a while, whereas other people find that role play evolves into a fetish that deeply transforms their sexual experience, and they won't feel fully gratified unless they include some element of role play into their sex life. So now that you have a little bit of a better understanding of the difference between a fetish and a kink, how they differ, and where they intersect, let's dive into the top 5 fetishes, what they are, and how people engage with them. All right, let's get ready to talk about fetishes. Cheers. All right, before we hop into these 5 top fetishes, I want to point out that not all fetishes necessarily include sexual activity, but most of them can involve some level of actual sexual activity. Believe it or not, many people can achieve arousal and satisfaction without ever having any sort of sexual contact. So let's dive into these 5 top fetishes and talk about how they work in a non-sexual setting and also in a sexual setting. One of the most common fetishes is the foot fetish. It involves arousal from feet, their size, their shape, their odor, their touch. For some, this fetish involves sensual experiences through massaging, kissing, putting socks on a foot, putting shoes on a foot. But for others, it can lead to an elevated sexual experience. Sexual experiences that are often linked to the foot fetish include sucking toes, licking toes, getting foot jobs, and incorporating feet into other common sex acts. While the foot fetish can be a playful, fun act for some who occasionally like a foot job or sucking on a toe here and there, for others, the foot fetish can become an integral part of their arousal and satisfaction. And oftentimes people who have a strong foot fetish cannot feel sexually gratified if there isn't some element of a foot, feet, toes involved. Another common fetish you may be familiar with is the leather and latex fetish. People who have a leather and latex fetish are often aroused by the scent and the texture of these materials, as well as the tightness and the restrictive nature of these materials. The appeal of this fetish often goes beyond just wearing the materials. It may involve power dynamics, the visual aesthetics, and the sensory experience that's provided by wearing or touching the materials. Sex acts with the leather and latex fetish may include wearing a restrictive latex bodysuit or engaging in touch and restraint-based activities. It may also include material-based sensory activities that heighten the sexual arousal and experience. Now, for many, the leather and latex fetish starts out as a kink, where people are aroused by seeing their partner wearing leather or latex and the feel of it either on a partner or on themselves. This can evolve into a fetish where leather or latex is required in order to achieve that level of arousal that really gives you the sexual satisfaction you desire. A third incredibly common fetish that typically starts out as a kink that many people are going to be familiar with and engage in, even in their vanilla lives, is the role-playing fetish. Many people enjoy adding role play into their sex lives, from vanilla folks all the way up to the kinkiest of the kinky folks. Role play is a common activity. It gives you the opportunity to step out of your own personal daily grind and doldrums and act out another persona or character, or play out another scenario. For many, role play is just something that spices up their regular sex life. But for some, role play evolves into a fetish and it becomes central to sexual satisfaction, bonding, arousal, and release. In fact, for some people, they only feel truly aroused when acting out a very specific role or scene. For some, it may be the dominant submissive dynamic. For others, it can involve age play. There's, of course, a number of different fantasies and roles that people enjoy stepping into. But for some, there may be one role in particular that they need to step into in order to become fully aroused. Common sex acts with this fetish can include acting out very specific sexual fantasies, scripted role play, or even including props in your sexual scene in order to achieve arousal and release. Another fetish that's fairly taboo is the pregnancy fetish. Pregnancy fetishism involves attraction to pregnant bodies, their shape, how they change, and the symbolism of fertility. Some people with a pregnancy fetish are drawn to the visual aspects, while others are drawn to the nurturing dynamics, and still others are into the biological implications. Sexual acts that are linked to the pregnancy fetish include worshiping the pregnant body, caressing the belly, choosing positions that highlight the pregnant belly. Now, this fetish can also extend to more of a fertility focus. So, playing out scenes where you're trying to impregnate your partner, or you are trying to get other people to impregnate your fertile partner. Again, for many, this can be more of a role play type of thing that's just kind of a fun kink to indulge in every once in a while. And for others, this becomes a central role to the regular everyday sex life. And the final fetish that I'm going to cover today is one that most all of us, especially women, have encountered, and it is the hair pulling fetish. This fetish involves being turned on by either having your hair pulled or pulling someone's hair during intimacy or sexual acts. It's a combination of the sensation and the power dynamic that fuels the excitement and arousal. Now, this fetish can involve either light, gentle tugs or really hard grabs, depending on the individual's preference. Now, the hair pulling fetish is often combined with the dom-sub dynamic and is integrated into regular sex acts, whether actually grabbing hair during intercourse or in a dom-sub situation, leading someone around by their hair. It can be combined with a number of other sex acts, as many of you already know. Now, this is a very common kink that can graduate into more of a fetish type activity. Most people, even very vanilla folks, play around with a little bit of hair pulling. But when it becomes a fetish, it becomes something that takes place at a much more intense and regular level. And it can be integrated into a number of sex acts and activities that will eventually help an individual achieve their own sexual gratification, whether they are the ones doing the hair pulling and tugging or the ones who are experiencing the hair being pulled and grabbed. So there you go. That was a entry-level overview of fetishism and 5 common fetishes that you may encounter in your own sexual experiences. It's really important to remember, again, not every kink is a fetish. And not every kink will become a fetish. So don't go worrying about like pulling your partner's hair and suddenly having it turn into a fetish. That's just not the way it works. And even more importantly, remember, before you engage in any of these fetishes, any of them, it's important to ask your partner for consent. Have a conversation with them about it. Be ready to share the fact that you have a fetish and that it is core to your sexual arousal and satisfaction. There's no shame in that. Most of us have little things that we fetishize and enjoy and that we really need to kind of get that juicy sexual satisfaction at the end of an intimate experience. Now, if you have any questions or comments, fetishes you'd like me to cover in the future, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You know what you need to do. Scroll down to the notes below. You can leave me a message on my SpeakPipe. You can send me an email at Annette@talksexwithannette.com. You can head over to my YouTube channel if you're just listening to this on my audio podcast. Find the video version and drop a comment below. It's a great way for me to know exactly what episode you are referring to. And if you are someone with a fetish or a kink, or you just want someone to help you on your own journey to sexual satisfaction, you can find out more about my work as an intimacy coach at talksexwithannette.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And until next time, I'll see y'all in the locker room. Cheers.